taking over. I told him instead of Mr. Smith goes to Washington, it's going to be Mr. Hoon goes to Washington. We are joined this morning by Jeff Hillerman. He is one of our, let me see if I can go ahead and start that. There we go. There we go.
There it is.
There it is.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
so how do I know what I look like on the camera?
So-
I gotta turn myself and look
right.
over here.
So, Jeff Hillerman, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Syleste Rodriguez. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
This would be our fourth good morning since we've been here for
I know.
hours.
We have. So Jeff produces our 7 o'clock hour, and I thought he's such a great character. He's got a TikTok. He's all over social media. And I thought, you know what? Come on in and talk about some of the stories that are making headlines with us here
Why
this
not?
morning.
I'm in.
Okay, so let's go to the poll question here first. And here's a question for all of you. Good morning in the chat box, by the way. We've already been chatting with a lot of you. If you guys have questions for Jeff, please chime in. Let us know your thoughts. So here's your question. Egg prices, they are rising in the United States. We know this. It's quite alarming for a lot of people. At what cost do you stop buying them? Some people say $5, 26% of you. 34% of you say it's $10. And then right now, 28% of you say $20. Your thoughts, Jeff?
Ooh, as somebody who loves eggs and eats a lot of them, it's interesting for me. I would definitely cut myself off at a certain point as far as how much I'll pay. That being said, the schedule has changed me a lot.
Oh,
Like,
yeah? How
Before
so?
coming back into news and having a what you would call normal schedule
Right,
for folks who
right.
get up and go to work at 8 or 9 and banking hours, if you will. Coming in at our time, you kind of miss breakfast, so breakfast becomes pizza, ribs.
And whatever food people bring back from their live shots.
Absolutely, yeah. It could be anything. Sometimes it's dessert, ice cream.
Right.
I think I've had a few breakfast ice creams here.
Lots of donuts,
right.
Girl Scout cookies.
So before that, though, like it was like religion for me. I'd get up and we talked about this yesterday. I am
Yeah.
also a sunny side up, runny eggs person.
Yeah, me too.
So, but I would make a couple of those, and then I would toast bagels, cream cheese, and I'd just kind of make a sandwich out of
that
it, you know,
sounds delicious.
almost every day. It was like my thing. And now I'm like, I feel lost lately because I don't have that anymore. So, and
Yeah.
so because of that, I'm not at the grocery store as often buying eggs. So,
Yeah.
but if it was $10 for a carton of 18, I'd be like,
Yeah, no kidding. All right. Well, thank you all for, chiming in and voting. Continue to vote. And good morning to Lil Philosophy. He said he noticed that organic eggs are actually cheaper now. And I'm with you on that one in the chat box. And so good morning to you, Lily Gutierrez, Linda Monterth, Kim Winnett. She said she's with Jeff. I need eggs,
Yes.
she said. So
eggs are life.
yes,
for me.
they are. We need maybe that's a new little
I'm
merch
put it on a shirt.
campaign. Yes.
Start selling them next week.
We're going to talk about some of our big stories, and we'll get to the issue with Mexico and eggs coming up in a little bit because you could actually face a fine, unfortunately. Let's talk about this story, though. An update on the deadly plane crash in Scottsdale earlier this month. So we did receive some this is surveillance images here from the Executive Aircraft Services and from Scottsdale Air Park as well. But what we do have as well this morning is some new information coming from the NTSB because they have been investigating what may have gone wrong. So we have some diagrams. Look at this right here. The landing gear. There was a problem with the landing gear, as you know. So the images show how the plane veered off the runway. We have some of those coming up for you in a little bit as well. But there was a mechanic, Jeff, that went in there and worked on the landing gear because they had some problems in the past with it. He said this is the direction that the plane went according to the NTSB. It lands and then it kind of veers to the left, crashes into that plane that you see in the far right-hand corner. And then this is kind of like an aerial map diagram, but it was going at a very high rate of speed.
I believe they said it hit the plane at like 50 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
the speed at the impact moment.
Yeah, and it touched down at about 140 miles per hour. The pilot sadly was killed, including there were injuries with several others. But what was interesting when they were looking into it and looking into the issues with the landing gear was that a mechanic removed the landing gear and had inspected them because there was a hard landing that caused the jet to bounce several times, blowing out both tires on the left. That was last year. And so they interviewed the guy, Jeff, and that's a pretty scary situation, though. And of course, the jet owned by Motley Crue, a band member, and he was supposed to be on board, but he wasn't.
Right. He had stayed behind for a birthday celebration or something like that.
Can you imagine? Like, it's one of those harrowing stories where it's like, this happened, but I missed the flight.
Right.
Or this happened, but I wasn't on.
You almost have like the remorse of, oh my gosh, I could have been there, should have been there, but I wasn't there, and something horrible happened.
Doesn't it also give you, I think, like that feeling that, oh, now you have like the second lease on life. Like there's purpose.
Exactly.
To
That
what
too.
you got going
There's
on.
always that. It's like,
There's always
gosh, you
that.
got to like balance, like, oh, there's this terrible thing. And
Yeah.
but where do I find the silver lining? And that's personally, I'm always trying to do that. It's always like, you want to hear this doom and gloom thing, and oh my gosh, this thing happened to me.
Yeah.
But it didn't, maybe sometimes. So you're just like, breathe.
So crazy.
Right.
Okay, let's go to this next story. This is, have you ever been in a Waymo, Jeff?
No.
Okay. I have not either, but
I say I'm going to do it a lot. I feel like just walking outside some days because they're constantly around the station.
Right.
And I'll see them overnight coming in, and I'm like, I got to ride in one of those one day. But then I also feel like I might get in and go, okay, no, let me get out of this thing.
Right. My teenager has been in one.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go pick him up from school, sometimes they're lined up. And you think, does this thing really work? Like, what happens if it's almost a head-on collision? Well, the video you're looking at right now is from Waymo, and that's pretty much what happened. 52nd Street and Oak in Phoenix. You see this car coming straight at. Isn't that crazy?
I'm not going to lie. I know we've been on air for 5 hours today, but this is the first time I've actually seen the video.
Because you're so busy writing the show.
I'm doing so many other things. I can't watch everything.
He's busy telling us what to do. Like when we say Jeff, producer Jeff, he's the one. It's his voice in our ear.
Yeah. That's me. Yes, exactly. This is what I look like
So
officially.
let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. Move on.
We got to go.
Got to go to break.
Right.
But the Waymo is driving on Oak in Phoenix, and then this truck almost hits it head on. And the Waymo, of course, it's a driverless vehicle, swerves out of the way to avoid the crash.
I got a lot to say about this now that we...
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
Right?
To think that technology could react like that and get out of the way. And the guy with the truck coming at him obviously realized, oh no, late. We don't know what he was doing, but we do know people get more distracted these days in their car.
Yeah.
And you never know. And it's like, oh my gosh, could a human being have reacted that quickly had, something like that happened to them?
So true.
Shout out to Waymo. I guess it's like all-terrain vehicle as well, because they can just jump off in the dirt, not spin out, and then come right back onto the road.
Right.
That's actually really impressive.
Well, Tyler Lewis says, can't wait to try Waymo. I'm barely outside their service area. It's funny you mentioned that because sometimes you can be like one block off their service area,
right,
and you have to walk the one block to be in the service area.
Just 2 nights ago, Richard, our 6 a.m. producer, was saying that exact thing. His neighborhood, the street is the cutoff, so a Waymo won't pull in.
Oh, wow.
So he's like literally right outside of my neighborhood's entranceway, if you will, is their cutoff.
That is
like, so
nuts.
If you wanted it to come pick you up, it won't, because it's got a cutoff spot like right there.
Good morning to you, Contessa Cruz Diaz. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. She said she's never taking a Waymo. Lil Philosophy says the sensors on the GPS are pretty good. It shows people on the sidewalks, bikes, or wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Tyler Lewis says producer Jeff also has an awesome stash.
Oh,
so let's go ahead and pop that up. Give us a little background on the stash.
Okay,
he's a very you are very fashionista.
Thank you. Well, you came into the newsroom and said, hey, Jeff, you want to go on the podcast with me? And I was like, hang on. And I ran to the bathroom and got my wax out. And I'm like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Because normally I'm looking like Dr. Eggman. That's what all the students called me when I was teaching, which I had just returned to news in the past couple of years. I was a teacher. And the genesis behind the stash that was Movember. So they encourage men to grow out their mustache or your facial hair to get behind men and support them and say, hey, you need to go to the doctor and get that uncomfortable exam that you don't want to do, but you should definitely do it. So I was like, yeah, why not? I'll just grow a mustache. I'm like, I'm losing my hair as I age, so let's have some hair where I can actually grow it. So
wherever I grow it, that's
so I grew out the stash, and I got a few compliments. They're like, it actually works for you. And that was just the normal stash, if you will. And
Right.
then I shaved it off. And fast forward a year or two later, and I was like, you know what? I'm growing it back. And then I just kept growing it and then growing. And then within like a year and a half, I had this almost fully intact. And ever since then, it's just been like a fun, like, learn how it works, watch
Yes.
guys on TikTok that have big followings and win awards
You
for their
have a pretty
incredible
good following on
mustache.
TikTok. What's your handle?
Oh, it's at Mr. Hillerman.
Yeah, because you
So,
were teaching for a
right.
while.
So that picked up, and I just kind of like went across the board. I went to Instagram, and because
Yeah.
teenagers these days are like, I found your TikTok page.
Well,
I
and
found your
you
Instagram
have to be
page."
where the kids are these days
Right.
to know what they're doing.
Right. If you need to learn about things like what the huzz is and what skibbity toilet means,
And that person has Riz.
if you got
is-
Riz, if your fit is fire, you're
Right.
like, my
Oh,
fit
that's
is
fire.
fire.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
You ate on that one. I love that one. So, and if your parents are watching, you're going, oh my gosh, that's my teenager.
Yeah, and
right
people
now.
are watching right now and they're thinking, what are these kids talking about?
So, yeah.
A little bit of background. When I started here 12 years ago, Jeff was here. You were the producer.
Same
And
show.
Yes, same show, 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Left for a little while. Now you're back.
Mhm.
And
That was almost like 11 years ago,
what,
actually.
What do you love about news and bringing and coming back?
Oh gosh, everything. I checked out. Like when I got into teaching, especially, I was like, I wasn't following like the day to day.
Right.
But then it's like when you're not following the day to day, you start to go, wait, what's going on?
What's happening in the world?
So when they gave me an elective course at school, I immediately said, TV journalism, let's just do that. And every day we would watch a little newscast.
Mhm.
And I even put up your morning show in my classroom a couple of times. And I'm
Awesome.
like, I messaged Hooner because I was doing a social study. I was teaching social studies. And Hooner is a huge history buff.
Yes.
And I said, hey, Ron, kids are watching you right now. Wouldn't that be cool if you came in and did like your own little TED talk or your Hooner talk
Yeah.
about history? Well, then COVID hit and all chaos
Oh,
broke
I'm
loose.
sure he
So,
still would go.
right. And so I was like, you guys, this is actually really important to know like what's going on in your community.
Yes,
And,
so
like-
true. We're going to continue this conversation, Jeff. I'm going to throw up the mystery cam
Oh,
for
yeah.
you, my friend, and for all of you in the chat box as well. So share where you think this is. I'm guessing it's the United States. I'm guessing. I don't know. Dean Fazzini does this. We are going to take a quick break. Go ahead and share your thoughts, and we'll be chatting with you in the chat box.
There's got to be people in the chat who are like, oh, that's boopity boopity boop. I'm not a big skier, so
Yeah, but we were just chatting about this mystery cam. Welcome back to Fox 10 Talks, everyone. You're looking live at our mystery camera this morning. And it does look a little fake, like almost like a movie set, right, Jeff? We were talking
uh-huh,
about that a quick
for real.
moment ago. That mountain in the background. Plenty of you have been chiming in Canada, Colorado. We have Jen's Wall says Montana. And we have Sherry Nevada Pup. She says that is Cascade Mountain. She's guessing Canada. And it looks like oh, look at Sherry Wolf. We saw the Canadian flag waving. Linda Monter said changing to Canada as well.
Up.
Angela Brockelman gave us a South Dakota. But Brian here behind the scenes as well, he said, hey, I think that's a Canadian flag. So here's a question for all of you who guessed Canada. What city do you think this is? Because Brian here behind the scenes in the streaming studio, he said Banff. What do you think, Jeff?
I concur.
You concur? And I was thinking, is it Whistler? Is it? But gosh, it's so beautiful. Okay,
It
so
is. It is
thank you
really
all for
nice.
sharing your thoughts on here too. So
It's
I'm
a
gonna
great landscape
I'm
photo
gonna
for
throw
your
up the Jeff
Facebook
cam.
page.
Do you want to open up that?
I already kind of cheated.
Oh,
yeah.
you did?
I
Okay.
did. I opened it up, and yes, in fact, Brian, you were absolutely correct.
Nice
Banff.
work.
So is that Alberta?
That's a good question.
Banff, AB.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get yelled at for not having
Banff.
knowing my
Oh yeah, it is Alberta. Banff, Alberta,
my
Canada.
geography, but
That's very cool.
Banff it is.
Yes, a beautiful shot. Let me throw that up one more time because it's so gorgeous. It almost looks unreal, like a movie set.
The only city
we
I've
are
been
going
to
to
in
throw
Canada
up,
is Windsor.
right?
So,
Isn't that beautiful?
because as soon as you were old enough to gamble in Canada or drink when we were high school in 1996, me and my buddies loaded in the car from Cleveland area and shot through Detroit, got lost, and then finally made it to Windsor with like an hour left of things being open.
When you're 18.
Yeah, when you're
Yeah.
like just out of high school and you're like, yeah, we're gonna go to Canada, and then they're like, we're closing. We're like, awesome, because we had to get back up and leave and go home the next morning. So
Yeah, beautiful shot. So we could probably travel there and maybe get some ideas on who Jeff Hillerman was in high school. Dig around a little bit more.
I was a little less mature.
Let's throw up our poll question this morning. Thank you all for sharing with us. More than 100 votes now. Egg prices rising in the U.S. At what cost do you stop buying them? Right now, winning is $10, which right now we're sitting right around 8 or 9 for a dozen. 45% of you say that is in fact is what you're going.
Yeah.
They're so pricey.
Well, I guess I'm
Oh
willing
my
to
goodness.
go like 2 eggs for $1 on that ratio, maybe.
Yeah,
At my
yeah.
peak, I would do, because I still
Right.
feel like if I could break it down into dollars, then okay.
Yes.
But if you're buying eggs at $20, we need to be friends, because
Because you're probably spending a lot of money on other
yes,
things.
I'll just pick up the money you're dropping on the floor at the grocery store while you walk past those eggs, apparently.
Oh, my goodness.
'Cause-
This brings us to our next story. We are talking about those who are bringing eggs over, and the word that they're using in some of the news
Oh, boy.
stories is smuggling eggs from south of the border. But you could actually face some pretty big fines. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, they're actually warning all the travelers out there. Agencies in San Diego field office, they say they've seen, this is a huge number, Jeff, 158% increase. 158% increase in raw egg interceptions at the southern border. This is in San Diego
Yeah.
since 2024. So just in like the last, I don't know, 6 to 12 months
Yeah.
or so. So they're actually saying that bringing them over endangers native agriculture, increases the risk of disease, and you could face a fine. Do you want to guess on what you think the fine is? We did talk about it this morning.
I
so if
always
you were
want to
listening,
think it's this astronomical number, but I'm going to say like $1,000.
so the fine, the agency says offenders could face a fine of up to $10,000.
Okay.
That's crazy. That's a big number.
That's definitely above my egg budget right there.
right? It's like, my goodness.
And also, if you're smuggling eggs, I don't think they're coming back in the shell. I
No.
feel like they're
No.
not making their way.
No. And I was looking into what makes U.S. eggs different than American or U.S. eggs different
Oh,
than
yeah.
Mexico eggs. One of the studies that I read was that in Mexico, they don't wash the outside of the egg, which if you buy them from like a farm, they don't wash them. They don't wash the outside. It's like a natural protectant
Yeah.
around the shell.
Okay.
And then you can leave them on the counter, really, they say, for like up to 2 or more
For
months.
a while. Yeah.
Yeah, and so but in America, we wash the
Yeah.
outside of the egg, and so they say, our ways of egg producing and egg protecting are different.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
To each
It's
his own, I guess. I mean, if what works for you may not work for us, then what works for us may not work for you.
That's
Is
so
that how it
true.
goes?
That's so true. So, $10,000 is what you could face in a fine. Let's go to this next piece of video. This is crazy. And I pulled this in because, of course, Wenatchee, Washington is Ron's
Ron,
hometown.
yeah.
And this is at a movie theater.
Whew.
So, scary moments. And there was actually, fortunately, only 2 people in this movie theater, but they're sitting there watching the new Captain America movie. And the ceiling just caves in. I wonder if they thought,
Captain America's coming
right,
to save us.
that's what I was thinking.
No, that was Red Hulk through the top, and here comes Cap to save the day. That's wow.
Isn't that
Were
crazy?
people underneath that section?
No, they were up higher. No one was hurt. And it looks as though it fell like right in the front few rows. When's the last time you saw a movie, by the way? And chime in the chat box.
Oh, for me, recently, I just saw, on Valentine's Day, I saw Captain America. It's my son's birthday, so I let one of my son's birthdays is Valentine's Day, and so I let him play hooky, and we went. He wanted to get Olive Garden, and
I love Olive Garden.
And then
what
took
did
him
you
to see
have at
Captain
Olive
America.
Garden?
Oh, I get the same thing every time. I don't even look at the menu. I get the tour of Italy.
Oh, I always get the same thing: the endless soup and salad.
That's
Start with the zuppa toscana. Then I go to the minestrone, and I do the extra salad. And sometimes,
is that like
if
a beer
I'm feeling
palette
good,
but with soup,
Yeah.
essentially? Like you just go down the line.
Sometimes I'll do a side of Alfredo sauce to dip my breadsticks in. But
Ooh, that's a nice hack. I would never thought about
so
that.
good.
Oh,
It's
my mouth's watering now.
So good. I know we're hungry. All right, moving on to this next story here. We're glad everybody was okay in that situation and in this. Look at this woman sitting in this rocking chair. She was rocking her baby to sleep. Have you seen this video,
The
Jeff?
ghost's gonna show up?
So you would think, right? Look at the chair. Look at the side of her chair. We're going to take another closer look here in a second.
Oh, please.
She's in her nursery rocking her baby to sleep, and all of a sudden she feels this spark happening on the side of the chair. So everything has gotten a little more like tech friendly. And look, here's a closer look. See the spark?
Oh, yeah, there it is.
So that's a USB charging port in her nursery rocking chair.
Yikes.
So it starts sparking in the middle of the night while she's there with her baby, feeding him in the middle of the night. And so she calls her husband in, and she's like, oh my goodness, this almost caught fire. She actually said that she's fallen asleep in those chairs.
And you wouldn't think of it at the time?
No.
Until then that happens?
But think of all the things. Where else have we seen charging ports?
They put them in everything now.
They have them in
The couches I have
suitcases?
at my place have
Oh,
the charging ports in the
really?
sides.
Wow.
Yeah, my boys will use it to plug their phones in the side, and
Look
so
at
they can
little
just keep sitting there.
Emmett. He's so cute. But yeah, look at
I know the baby's probably like, "Why are you freaking out, Mom?"
Hey, Mom, I was just about to fall asleep, Mom.
I was trying to catch some Z's here.
Not cheap, $800 for that chair. Here's another look at it right here. But yeah, so your couches have those charging ports.
Yes, they do on the sides, like on the outsides, not on the
Yeah.
inside right there like that. But yeah, and I've just sat on couches recently and my kids' grandparents have those couches with the little levers, the electronic levers, like
Yeah.
right on the inside to kick the feet out on and stuff.
You're right.
And then if you lift the middle section inside there, you can plug in your phone chargers inside of it. So most of these couches these
really?
days are all like teched up. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so Kim Winnett, when I asked this moments ago, she says, haven't gone to a movie theater since before COVID. Oh my goodness, we watch everything at home on streaming. I know the Oscars are coming up. What is it? Why are you rolling your eyes at this?
I'm just old school. And I thought because of like everything's going streaming now, you got the big TVs at home, and now you can get a 72, 80-inch, 90. I walked in the Sam's Club recently. I was like, that's a TV? Holy cow.
Yeah.
But it's the experience of the theater. You can't beat it.
I know.
That's why, like, if there's movies I really want to see, I will go
Yeah.
now to the theater. And it's been great because they're empty. I mean, I
They're
hope
empty.
the business model doesn't completely crumble.
Right.
And then, here to the other one. Right after Captain America, I decided, like, oh, why not? I'll go check out the Led Zeppelin documentary.
Oh,
The making
yeah.
of
I
Led
heard
Zeppelin.
that was really good.
It was awesome. It was really good. It was like a rock and roll movie without the drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And it was just this
Oh.
really insightful look at how one of the greatest rock bands ever came to be.
Oh, so
And all the
amazing.
backstory of how they meet each other and stuff. It's really good. And the fun part about it was a full theater, and it was all Gen Xers, I guess, if you will. It was
Yes.
like, I'm 47, but it was maybe 2 people in there, maybe my age and younger. Others were
Yeah.
like my parents' age and just like under that in that area. So I would say 50 to 70.
Wow.
And they were all,
I always,
tapping their feet and
I
like
always,
jamming along to the music, and it
you,
was cool.
I always want to go to the movie theater, but I feel like I don't know if I have that time to invest. Like I want to see Wicked, but it's like 3 hours long.
No.
That would be difficult.
My ADHD says no way you're sitting through a 3-hour movie in the theater.
Oh yeah, there's no way.
That's too long for me.
Yeah. Listen to this. This cow out for a stroll this morning. And if you're just joining us, we have a few more minutes left here on the stream on Fox 10 Talks. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to the amazing voice of Jeff Hillerman, our 7 a.m. producer here on the show. And he's the life of the party here. So we thought we'd bring him on today. So this cow got loose in Nevada, and construction was scrambling to corral it. So this is video and pictures from the Nevada Department of Transportation. He's like, look at it, just prancing.
I thought for a second that was my neighborhood in Apache Junction. I was
that's
like, that looks
right.
like Tuesday in AJ.
Do you have bovines running free in AJ these
Well, there's
days?
just wildlife. There's a lot of wildlife in that area. I mean, people got like cows, horses, goats, donkeys just in their front yards, if you will, their ranch houses. It
really is their element. That's where they
live.
live.
I've asked people, they call them yard art. Like folks that let their horses just kind of like hang. I'm like, that's a really expensive piece of yard art.
Yeah, I do like that name though. But this guy, just out for kind of a stroll, and he'd been roaming around this construction site for a few days, and finally they caught him. I think he was thirsty, and that's how they lured him in.
Yeah.
And maybe with some snacks.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know.
Everyone's going to stop for a snack.
So for those who are watching,
my kids.
We have folks from all over the world who watch, and they're talking about futons right now. Tyler Lewis, why would someone take video of my stroll? If you were a bovine, I think they'd think, what is happening? Jeff, if you can share, I'm going to throw up for all of you. Thank you for joining us this morning. And I want to take a few moments to just share. Jeff, you're very active on social media. We talked about it earlier. Jeff is the 7 a.m. producer for us here on Fox 10 AZAM, Monday through Friday. Does an amazing job. Little philosophy, I know, LOL with Tyler. That is your handle.
You'll find me everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, on the street. And that'll work too if you look me up on Facebook. And I do a lot of I do this stuff like outside of here.
Yes.
In fact, tonight I'll be the PA announcer for a volleyball championship game for Circle Cross Ranch. Shout out to my kids' school.
So fun.
Versus the Anthem Eagles, and that's going to be at Poston Butte High School.